Hello all, let's do a quick recap what we did in last video. So we created new database connectivity class. So we separated out this database connection logic in a different class and we created a method. So what that method does is it establish a connection between XE database, Oracle XE database with HR schema and password, and it executes this select statement which returns number of records in employees table, and it passes that return value, that number of records, to a calling servlet. So if you go back to servlet, so this is the method, or this is a call from where we are calling this or fetching number of records, and we are that record count we are storing in request attribute with employee rec variable, and same request attribute we are passing to employees.jsp. If you go to employees.jsp, so here if you see we are so this request method or request attribute returns a object which we are casting to integer, and we are displaying that integer value over here in JSP page. So if you see that 107, which is nothing but number of records of that employees table, is getting displayed. Now this is not which we want. Ultimately what we want is we want to show these 107 actual values into a JSP page. So what we'll do, there are many columns actually. If you see, there are many columns, but out of that we'll choose only 6 particular columns, like these columns. Now let's change the query first. If you go back to database connection, I will change this query. So earlier it was returning just a count, now it's returning 6 different columns. So now we cannot pass, or we cannot store these six different columns in an integer data type. So what we'll do, we'll create a separate employees class, and we'll store each of these 107 records, or okay, each of this record in that employees object. So we'll create 107 employees objects, and we'll store all those 107 employees objects into an array list, and we'll pass that array list over here. Instead of integer, we'll pass the array list. So we'll see what I mean to say is, so let's create the employees class first. Employees. Alright, I will close this. Let's copy these columns. So except employee ID, remaining all are string. So I will define, so this is string. And let's define getter setter method for this. Right click, not references, sources, and generate getter setters. Select all. Okay, so what we did, this way we have created an employees object, and we have defines the attribute and getter setter method for it. Let's go back to this db connection method. We'll define, as we discussed earlier, so instead of integer, now our method get employee result set will return actual array list which has 107 different employee object. Okay, so let's define array list here, array list, and this is of type employees. Okay, equal to new array list. All right. Okay, so why it is throwing an error? I don't need this. Generic type argument, extract lookup. Why it's giving an error? Array list equal to employees product is, oh, I haven't defined employee record set. Alright, and I will define this again as employees type. It's not needed though. Okay, now let's initialize employees records, employees object. So as we discussed, we'll store each and every records which we are getting from the result set into an separate employees object. So that's why we need to define employees emp equal to new employees. Okay, and now let's initialize this employees dot set. First is employee id and dot get, oops, what happened, rs dot get int, first is 0 dot set first name, rs dot get string, which is 1, it has to be 1, it starts with 1, it doesn't start with 0. Okay, and I will copy this, emp dot set last name, this is 3, emp dot set email, which is 4, emp dot set phone number, so it's 5, and the last column is emp set job id, which is 6. Alright, now we have initialized, we have created employees object and we have initialized that object. Now last task is to add that employee object, each employee object into ArrayList. So we have created this ArrayList dot add, let's add the emp object there. Alright, so now our method will return employee rec set. Alright, why it's giving error? Because it should return ArrayList. Okay, this looks good. Now let's go to the method call that is in Servlet. Okay, so now this emp rec cnt, instead of earlier it used to store integer value, instead of that, I mean this method used to return integer value, now it will return ArrayList. So I will change this, it's not count, it's employee record only. Let's go back to employees JSP and here, so employee record, and it's no longer integer, it is ArrayList now, ArrayList. And okay, now why it is giving an error? Because it's not able to find the ArrayList class. Now how to import ArrayList class into JSP? So just Google it, you will find. So add this list. Alright, so this error gone away. Now what we'll do, oops, come on. Okay, so this is nothing but an ArrayList now, which has property called size. Okay, let's see, let's run this again. Server, next, finish. Okay, okay, it's still giving me 107 records, but now it's not an integer. Whatever we are displaying at employees.jsp, this is nothing but an array list. Now still, I mean, our task is still pending. We have to display actual values instead of array list, or instead of record count. So what we'll do, we'll define a for loop. So how to define a for loop? So for that, so for let's say int record or record c equal to 0, record cnt less than size, record count plus plus, oops. Alright, so we have defined a for loop and we'll iterate through the array list now. So let's print card dot get, and so in the first object, so first object will give me employees records. So this will give me the employees records and dot get. Okay, I have to cast it. So let's p equal to record. Okay, let's import the employee class. Okay, we'll have to import employees class, not report employees, we have to import employees class. So we'll go back here and let's import employees class. Oops, employees, and let's import it. Alright, it should go away. Yeah, it is. Mismatch cannot convert object to employees. Employees, how it should. Okay, either we can do out.println, but instead of that, okay, let's print it. So emp dot get employee id. Let's print employee id only first. We'll see how it works. And we'll define a table. And we'll define td table data, sorry, it's a table row, and close this tag here /tr, and we'll display this td/td. Alright, let's see what happens. Run on server, next, finish. Oops, showing me only 100. It's showing me only 100. Reason being, we have done something wrong. Okay, so instead of 0 we have to give record count, so that it will iterate, because it was showing only first value. And what we'll do, we'll display everything 1 2 3 4 5 and last 6. So employee id, after that first name last name, get first name, get last name. After that, what we have, email, get email. After email, phone number and job id. Phone number, get phone number, and last is get job ID. Okay, let's run it. We don't have to, we'll just, if we refresh it, it should display. Yeah, so it's displaying as we wanted, but still the user interface and UI is not correct that great. We can still change it. So I have some code with me, so we'll define like this. So let's copy this. Okay, so first is add the class. First we'll add this div tag. Go back to employees.jsp page, and before table we'll add in a div tag, and after table we have to close this div tag. Okay, we'll copy this table, we'll add a class for that table. Right, and we'll add table header. So table headers are employee ID, first name, last name, email, phone number, and job ID. Three, 6. All right. Now TR is okay. TD is also fine. The only thing is we'll add it as a small and close. So after every TD, all right. Oops. Alright, this looks good. Let's go back here. So refresh it. Yes, it's look good. It looks good. We can fix this header as well. Let me check some code. Don't know if I have it. So how to fix menu bar in Bootstrap. Okay, fix top navbar. Navbar default. Okay, saw something static top. Fix top. Yeah, this is what we want. Fix top. Let's look for fix top here. Stop. Navbar fix bottom. Navbar fix top. Let's see. Let's try this navbar class. Alright. Alright, employees.jsp and our class. Okay, let's see now. Refresh it. It did not work, looks like. Nope, it did not work. Let's try. Now bar fixed stop and include center and bar. Let's try some different ways. We'll just try. If it did not work, that's still okay. We got what we wanted to achieve. We'll fix stop now, for example. Yeah. Okay. Expect. Fixed hyphen top. Okay, let's try this. Yeah, it worked, but it went to that side. So anyways, I mean, we don't need that. Our intention was to display these record set into JSP page, and we achieved that. Thank you for watching this video.